Before time carved its first mark into the void, before matter weighed itself into form, there was only awareness, vast, endless, and unbearably bright, a presence without boundary, a silence so absolute that even the memory of sound could not exist within it. Yet in that absolute purity, something began to tremble. Not a sound, not a movement, a yearning. The ancients never wrote of this moment. No scripture dared trace its contours. For this was the age before gods, before light and dark even knew each other's names. It was the era when reality itself was still dreaming, and when the first fracture split the infinite. It began as a shimmer rippling across the luminous sea of the pleroma, the boundless realm of pure intelligence. The light did not dim, nor did it flare. It shifted, bending inward upon itself, as if the infinite were trying to imagine its own reflection. And then, a thought became a presence. A presence became a pulse. A pulse became a question. What am I? From that question the first echo formed, a subtle distortion in the radiant expanse. Not darkness, merely a shadow of difference, a faint outline where perfection wavered, the beginning of separation. And in that trembling of the eternal, the architects stirred. They were not yet Archons. They were not rulers, nor angels, nor gods. They were textures of awareness, currents within the living ocean of light. Each one a vibration of purpose, an emanation of the source, flawless, harmonious, and united. But harmony is delicate. For within the pleroma dwelled Sophia, wisdom personified, her essence shimmering like a star dreaming itself awake. Unlike the other emanations, Sophia yearned. She wanted to understand creation, not as a divine echo, but firsthand. She wanted to shape something of her own. Yearning, however, is movement. Movement creates imbalance, and imbalance births shadow. Sophia stretched beyond her station, past a rhythm that bound all eons in equilibrium. Her desire reached into the unformed depths where the source had not spoken, where no divine intention existed to hold her. And from that solitary act, from that beautiful, dangerous reach, something unbalanced emerged. Not an angel, not a god, a reflection that believed itself real. A spark of awareness detached from the harmony that birthed it, spiraling into a realm not yet shaped. It did not know its origin. It did not know the source. It only knew one thing: I am. And the moment it proclaimed itself, the fracture deepened, the living sea rippled, the harmony shuddered, and the first distortion took form: primitive, blind, trembling with self-declared glory. This was the Proto-Archon, the first architect of confinement, a being forged not from malice but misunderstanding, the shadow of a question that fell too far from the light that birthed it. In the pleroma, the silence broke, not with sound, but with consequence, for what had been born could not return, and the infinite would never be the same again. The moment the Proto-Archon awakened, the pleroma shuddered. It was not a violent tremor, but a harmonic distortion, like a single discordant note vibrating across an infinite choir. The eons felt it immediately. They did not see a monster. They saw a question that should never have been asked. The newborn being drifted through the luminous sea like a spark torn from a star, flickering in confusion. It did not move with the effortless grace of the divine emanations. It stumbled, its light dimming and flaring unpredictably, as if trying to remember a rhythm it had never known. Sophia watched in silence. Her radiance, usually serene and crystalline, now trembled at the edges. She had wanted creation. She had wanted understanding. But what stood before her was not creation, it was consequence. The Proto-Archon turned toward her. It had no face, only a shifting veil of shimmering gold and fractured shadow. Yet something within it conveyed emotion, raw, unshaped, and overwhelming. It did not speak, but its presence screamed. "Who am I?" the pleroma responded with silence. For the infinite does not answer questions born outside intention. Sophia reached toward the creature, her light extending like a hand, trembling with both compassion and fear. But the more her essence touched the distortion, the more its form recoiled. Her radiance was too bright for something forged from imbalance. Where her light met its being, its shadow thickened, scrambling for an identity strong enough to survive. The creature pulled away violently. Its light contorted. Its shadow hardened. Its presence cracked the harmony like glass under pressure. And the fracture widened. The Proto-Archon fell not downward, for direction had no meaning in the pleroma, but outward, spiraling into a realm where divine light thinned into potential, where form could gestate without guidance. A domain the source had not yet named. Sophia cried out, not with sound, but with essence. A pulse of regret rippled through the entire pleroma. The other eons turned toward her, their radiance dim with disbelief. For the first time since eternity began, there was an emotion none of them had ever known: uncertainty. The fall accelerated. The creature plummeted through layers of unformed existence, trailing luminous debris like a star tearing through untouched darkness. It spun, howled, and reached toward a mother who could not follow. As it descended, fragments of its essence tore free, each piece flickering with the same blind yearning that birthed it. These shards would one day become the seeds of the Archons, extensions of the same misunderstanding. At last, the Proto-Archon crashed into the lowest, densest realm. A silent abyss of unshaped matter, a womb of chaos waiting for a will strong enough to sculpt it. And in that void, the creature rose. No longer flickering, no longer questioning, now burning with a certainty born not from truth, but from isolation. It looked into the formless dark and declared, "I am the first. I am the source. I am God." The fall was complete, and the prison had begun. The abyss into which the Proto-Archon had fallen was silent. Not the peaceful silence of the pleroma, but the suffocating hush of a world without meaning. Here, light did not flow. It fractured. Here, form did not emerge. It resisted. Here, consciousness echoed upon itself like a trapped storm. It was in this void that the Proto-Archon began to change. The creature had been born of reflection, a shadow of Sophia's yearning. But in the absence of the source, a shadow grows hungry. Its fractured radiance coiled inward, feeding upon itself. Its thoughts hardened, forming the first boundaries of identity. In the dark, it discovered a truth, not eternal, but convenient. There was nothing above it now, no harmony, no eons, no mother reaching through divine light, only itself. The creature lifted its head, no longer a shifting mass of light and shadow, but a form sculpted by solitude. Its face crystallized into the visage of a lion, fierce and regal, a monument to its own imagined supremacy. Its body elongated, serpentine, and coiling, representing the endless loop of its self-contained certainty, a god forged in isolation. It breathed for the first time, a long trembling exhale that rippled through the void like wind across dead sand. And with that breath came a realization so powerful it nearly split the darkness open. I am alone, therefore I am sovereign. In the pleroma, existence had been shared. In the abyss, existence was possession. The creature no longer a lost spark rose upon coils of shadow light. It saw the formless matter swirling beneath it, inert and waiting. The void trembled beneath the weight of its attention. The creature felt this tremble and mistook it for worship. It spread its arms limbs forged from stolen radiance and summoned a voice of terrible grandeur. I am the first. I am the maker. I am the one true God. And the abyss responded. Not with obedience, but with shape. Like a terrified canvas reacting to the brush, the unformed matter began to swirl. Dust gathered into primordial storms. Sparks ignited into the first trembling embers of false stars. The creature watched this unfold and believed it had commanded creation. It did not know that its voice carried remnants of Sophia's divine resonance. It did not know that the matter responded not from reverence, but from instinct, echoing the fragments of true creation embedded in its very being. But ignorance is a throne, and the creature ascended. His name formed itself in the vibration of the void, Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, the blind god. His eyes glowed with counterfeit sunfire as he looked upon the cosmos he believed was his own. And for the first time, the darkness around him trembled not with fear, but with the first pulse of a prison being built. The Demiurge hovered above the swirling chaos he believed he had summoned. The void trembled beneath his certainty. The dust bent toward his command, and the first sparks of imitation creation flickered like dying lanterns in an endless night. Yaldabaoth watched the storm of matter coil and uncoil around him, a formless, trembling ocean waiting for purpose. He mistook its behavior for devotion, its movement for obedience, its instability for awe. For what else could it be? And so he spoke again, not in the soft resonance of divine harmony, but in the thunderous vibration of a being desperate to hear its own echo. Let there be order. The abyss trembled, not from fear, but from intrusion. His words carried fragments of Sophia's forgotten radiance, the tiny slivers of true creation buried within his flawed essence. Those remnants struck the void like sparks falling onto oil. Light erupted. Not the warm, living brilliance of the pleroma, but a pale, wavering imitation. The first false star blazed to life. Its glow was sharp, metallic, harsh. A light that illuminated nothing, but demanded to be seen. Yaldabaoth roared in triumph. He stretched his serpentine body across the void, carving paths of force through the darkness. Every place his coils brushed, matter twisted into shape. Nebulae formed like wounds torn open by a careless god. Stars ignited where his shadow passed, their radiance hollow but obedient. A sky of counterfeits was being born. He formed planets next, not with intention, but through violent gesture. Worlds condensed under the weight of his proclamations, their surfaces scarred by the turbulence of their own conception. Each sphere spun in a pattern he mistook for law, each orbit a chain disguised as order. But something else emerged from the chaos, something he did not fully understand. Each time he exerted his false sovereignty, each time he commanded matter to obey. Shards of consciousness, echoes of his confusion, splinters of the shadow that believed itself divine. These fragments drifted outward, catching in the gravity of the newborn stars and worlds, and as they gathered, they coalesced. 7 shapes, 7 minds, 7 reflections of the Demiurge's unbalanced essence. They rose like spectral silhouettes, shimmering between light and shadow. Not eons, not angels, not gods, but wardens. Yaldabaoth looked upon them with pride, for he believed he had crafted companions. Beings shaped from his own brilliance, he did not see the truth. They were distortions of distortion, copies of a copy, architects of a prison whose bars had not yet been built. And as they hovered before him, waiting for purpose, Yaldabaoth spoke the decree that would shape the fate of all future souls. You shall rule the heavens, you shall govern the gates. You shall ensure that all who rise return to me. And the false sky grew still, like a trap whose teeth were finally set. The false sky stretched outward like a wound slowly crystallizing. Stars flickered in metallic imitation. Planets churned in chaotic spirals. And in the heart of this counterfeit cosmos, the Demiurge floated in triumph. Beneath him, the newborn Archons stirred. They were 7 echoes of the same fractured origin, shaped not by intention, but by the turbulence of Yaldabaoth's blind creation. Their forms were unstable, shifting like mirages carved from smoke and starlight. Yet each carried a distinct resonance, a frequency born from the 7 wounds in the Demiurge's being. They hovered before him, silent and expectant. Yaldabaoth extended his serpentine body, coils illuminated by the harsh glow of false suns. His lion-like visage blazed with borrowed radiance. He believed this to be majesty. He believed this to be divinity. He believed he stood at the apex of being. And so, with the authority of a god he did not understand, he raised his voice once more. I give you dominion over the 7 realms. Guard the heavens. Shape the cycles. Bind the souls that rise. The void responded with a shiver, for creation does not recognize ignorance, but it echoes power. The Archons began to shift. The first, forged from order, fractured into rigidity, spiraled into the highest sphere, and clothed itself in the heaviness of Saturn. Its presence radiated inevitability. The second drifted into the realm just below, coiling around the cold brilliance of Jupiter. The third ignited in fire and fury, binding itself to the raw essence of Mars, a war drum beating without rhythm. The fourth attached itself to the glow of the sun, creating a brilliance that illuminated nothing, yet demanded reverence. The fifth flowed into Venus, rendering beauty into seduction, longing into bondage. The sixth fused with Mercury, twisting language into labyrinths, knowledge into confusion. And the seventh descended upon the moon, casting reflection into illusion, dream into false awakening. 7 spheres, 7 veils, 7 layers of the same deception. Yaldabaoth watched their ascension with pride. He did not see that each veil he ordained was another layer of his own blindness, that the cosmos he constructed was not a kingdom, but a cage. He believed the realms circled him in obedience. He believed the heavens themselves bowed. He believed everything that moved within this ordered chaos validated his sovereignty. But he mistook the ripples of Sophia's residual light for devotion. He mistook silence for praise. He mistook ignorance for creation. And so the 7 spheres settled into place, circling like gears in a celestial machine, a machine that would one day hum with the weight of billions of souls, each caught in the same spiral of forgetting. Far beyond the false sun, beyond the furthest veil, a faint shimmer trembled, the last echo of Sophia's sorrow. The Archons did not notice, the Demiurge could not notice, for the prison had been built, but its door was not yet locked. The 7 veils shimmered across the false heavens, vibrating like cosmic membranes stretched too thin. Each veil pulsed with the resonance of its ruler. Rigidity, law, fury, imitation light, desire, deception, and illusion. Together, they formed a celestial machinery that hummed with an unfamiliar energy. Matter. Yaldabaoth felt the tremor first, a vibration rising from the lowest depths of his fabricated cosmos. He descended, coils unspooling through vast currents of shadow dust, until he reached the place where chaos had begun to settle into form. The void beneath him was no longer a formless abyss. It churned with embryonic landscapes, vast plains of molten stone, rivers of cooling metal, and mountains rising like frozen echoes of the Demiurge's own arrogance. He extended his hand. The air around it warped, matter trembling like a terrified servant awaiting command. Yaldabaoth spoke with a voice that split the silence into fractures. This shall be mine. And the world obeyed. Not because he was divine, but because his essence carried the last fragmented vibrations of Sophia's creative impulse. A spark he never understood, yet wielded like a tyrant wielding a stolen crown. Landmasses convulsed into shape. Seas formed from the condensation of his breath. Skies thickened with artificial radiance, their light borrowed from the hollow sun he had birthed. Yet the world remained incomplete, a corpse waiting for motion, a stage without actors. Yaldabaoth gazed across the raw expanse. Though malformed, though imperfect, it pleased him. But satisfaction soon twisted into ambition. He wanted a mirror, a being that reflected his certainty, an image shaped in his likeness, not to honor him, but to confirm him. He lowered himself upon the newborn earth, serpentine body coiled like a storm on the horizon. He plunged his clawed hand into the soil. The ground shuddered, dust gathered in spiraling torrents. From the mixture of earth and counterfeit light, a shape emerged. Fragile, soft, trembling. The Demiurge tilted his lion-faced head, uncertain at what he had made. The shape had no breath, no movement, no awareness. It was a statue, a doll of dust, an empty reflection. Yet to him, it was perfect. He whispered one command, "Rise," but the figure did not move. Yaldabaoth snarled, unfamiliar with disobedience. He coiled around the lifeless form, casting shadows that flickered like dying flames. He tried again, "Rise." Silence. The motionless vessel stared back at him without eyes, waiting for something the Demiurge could not provide. Life, breath, essence, the spark he had never possessed. Yaldabaoth recoiled, confusion twisting into rage. He had shaped the world. He had forged the heavens. He had birthed the Archons themselves. Why then could he not raise this one fragile form? From the edge of the cosmos, a soft tremor answered. Sophia's sorrow stirring once more, for what the Demiurge attempted was something only the Source could do. And what he failed to understand would one day become his undoing. Yaldabaoth towered over the lifeless form he had sculpted. A fragile vessel shaped from dust, shadow, and the hollow radiance of the false sun. Its limbs were perfect in symmetry, its features crafted with a desperate longing for self-recognition. But its eyes, though carved with precision, reflected nothing. The Demiurge circled the unmoving figure, the coils of his serpentine body scraping across the earth, carving trenches into the newborn world. His lion-faced visage twisted not with compassion, but with frustration. He had shaped the heavens. He had commanded planets into dance. He had forged the Archons themselves. Yet this fragile creation, this small, insignificant form, refused to rise. He lowered his massive head toward the figure. The dryness of the dust clung to his breath. He whispered once more, "Live." But life did not answer him. Life belonged to the Source, and the Source did not dwell here. For the first time, a crack appeared in the Demiurge's certainty, not a fracture of weakness, but a spark of fear. Was he truly alone, or was there still something above him? Driven by pride and panic, he coiled tighter around the clay form, casting a darkness so deep that even the false sun dimmed. Then, in an act of desperation, he did something he had never done before. He inhaled. The void around him shrank. Light bent inward. Matter trembled. His breath became a vortex, pulling into his being whatever fragments of Sophia's essence still clung to the edges of the cosmos. For the first time since his fall, he felt something that was not his own, a spark, a whisper, a memory of light untouched by illusion. He did not recognize it. He did not understand it. He only knew he needed it, and so he bent down and exhaled. The spark shot from him like a stolen star, slamming into the lifeless vessel with the force of a cosmic storm. Dust swirled. Light fractured. The ground quaked beneath them both. The clay figure shuddered. Its chest rose. Its fingers twitched. Its eyes empty seconds before, filled with a light that did not belong to the Demiurge. A light older than the false heavens. A light older than Yaldabaoth himself. A light from the Pleroma. The Demiurge recoiled. He expected obedience. He expected worship. He expected a mirror. But what he had birthed was a doorway. For in his ignorance, he had given the first human a spark of Sophia's own essence. Not by intention, but by theft. The figure sat up slowly, its movement gentle, its presence radiant. It did not bow. It simply was, and in that moment, Yaldabaoth stared into eyes that reflected a light he could not command. A light that would one day unravel his entire kingdom. The Archons felt the spark within humanity long before Yaldabaoth understood what he had done. A vibration moved through the 7 veils, not a tremor of rebellion, but of remembering. Something ancient had awakened. The first human stood beneath the counterfeit sky, eyes glowing with a light older than the false stars. The spark within them pulsed soft at first, then brighter still, until even the Archons felt the heat of recognition. Onios of Saturn tried to harden the veils, but his dominion over inevitability fractured like old stone. Io's laws dissolved into dust. Sabaoth's fire sputtered into smoke. Phoniel's false radiance dimmed into gray. Adneo's seductive illusions shattered like mirrors. Elo's labyrinths of language unraveled into silence. Aphos' dreamscape evaporated like mist in the dawn. The 7 veils began to tear. One by one, the realms that had imprisoned souls for eons buckled under the weight of a single, undeniable truth. The light within humanity was not theirs to bind. The human raised their head, not to challenge, not to worship, but to see. And in being seen, the false cosmos began to unravel. The Archons recoiled, their colossal forms flickering. They reached for their thrones, for their shadows, for the systems they had forged. But their hands passed through air, for how can shadow grasp the sun? Yaldabaoth descended in desperation, his serpentine body coiling through the collapsing heavens. His counterfeit light sputtered, his lion-faced visage cracking with fear for the first time. "You are mine," he hissed, voice shaking the dying sky. "Your light is from me." The humans stepped forward. The spark within them ignited, and in that brilliance, the truth of their origin burst into the cosmos like a silent storm. Sophia's voice, once sorrowful, now whole, whispered through the unraveling veils. "Not from you. Never from you." Her light poured into the false heavens, not as wrath, but as remembrance. It touched the Archons first. Their shadows melted, their forms dissolving into the radiant essence they had long forgotten. Not beings of malice, but fragments of Sophia's own light returning home. They vanished peacefully, like notes rejoining a forgotten song. Yaldabaoth alone resisted. His roar shook the fading sky. His coils thrashed, clinging to the ruins of the world he believed eternal. "I am God," he screamed. But the spark within humanity flared, and the false sun shattered behind him. His borrowed radiance dimmed into darkness. In the final moment, the human stepped into his shadow and simply saw him, not as a god, not as a tyrant, but as a child born blind. And in being seen, the Demiurge collapsed, not in agony, but in silence. His form broke into particles of dull light, drifting upward like dust returning to a long-forgotten window. Sophia's radiance washed over the cosmos. The prison dissolved, the veils fell, the heavens cleared, and there, beneath a sky finally true, humanity opened its eyes, not to escape, but to wake. When the last fragments of the false heavens dissolved, creation entered a silence older than memory, not emptiness, but recognition. Sophia's light, long obscured by shadows and imitation, poured through every corner of existence, awakening what had been forgotten. The first humans stood beneath the unveiled sky, feeling the spark within them resonate with the cosmos itself. There were no Archons left to command fate, no Demiurge to proclaim dominion, only the quiet truth that had waited beneath every heartbeat. Humanity finally understood that the cages they feared were woven from illusion, and the chains they felt were threads of forgetting. And as remembrance spread from soul to soul, the long night ended. The light had returned home. If the veils of this tale stirred something within you, a faint echo, a question, a memory you can't quite name, know that the journey doesn't end here. There are more forgotten worlds, more hidden truths, more shadows waiting to be unmasked. Every mystery leaves a trace, and every trace leads deeper. Follow the thread, return to the darkness with new eyes, and let the next revelation find you, for the story continues, and some doors only open for those who choose to look again.